Okay, so back to what I said, then you can begin. Okay, so nothing exists. We're on a blank slate. Nothing exists until, in order for anything to exist, we have to do something. We have to speak. And in order to speak, certain things have to be in place for spoken word to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oxygen, sound, space, all of that stuff has to happen. And so it happens, and then when we become still again, it goes away. It don't exist anymore. In my mind, in your mind, you're thinking, you have thought going, you have whatever you have going on, and it is manifesting all of the things that is perceived in order for what you're doing to happen. Nothing exists. We are nowhere. And as we move, we are nowhere. And as we backtrack who we are, we get closer and closer to what's called singularity. And we realize that you don't exist. You exist to you.
Okay.
But I don't exist. I'm a manifestation of your mind.
Okay.
That's all I am. I'm. If you turn me off, if you turn off the thought, or you forget me, I cease to exist.
That's Buddha's thought.
Okay,
Right.
so the same thing on my side. But as we travel back, and in order to travel back, we need time. But as we travel back, less and less and less and less people exist and things exist. Like right now, the technology to create this Wi-Fi right here, right? It was, the potential was always there, always been there, but it didn't exist until
There
50
was a
years,
thought.
until somebody thought it up.
Right.
Now imagine what don't exist now, but in 100 years will exist. It's always been there.
Right. It's already there. It's already there. So then you call those things into existence.
You call it to exist. You call it into existence. We can't perceive what it might be right now.
Right. Because we can't. Because our level of consciousness only operates within that space and time where we are now, which actually, like my grandmother said, that ties into our death. Because when we get to a point that when we cannot conceive technology, then our physical existence will cease to exist as well. Meaning, my grandmother would not be able to conceive a phone that you can carry around in your pocket and be able to see each other talking on like that. And when she got to a point where she could no longer conceive it, then her time was coming to an end. Like whatever the next step of technology is that comes after the cell phone, be it hologram programmed through the lymph nodes or whatever, when we get to a point when we absolutely say that's too far, then that's the end of our time, because we can't perceive the next step, because we've come to the edge. We know the ledge. We come to the edge of our knowledge. We can't perceive what's going to be after that, but the children will be able to, because they saw that and went, what's better than this? What's better than that? Our generation, we're fascinated with this telecommunication device that we first became knowledgeable of. It's on Star Trek, when he would flip that thing open and then he would talk. So to us, we would be in a futuristic state. A lot of people are mad now that we're in 2020 and we're not living like the Jetsons. However, we can't physically conceive what it would be like to live in a world where people were flying around in cars instead of being on the road, because we can't get past the concept of our day-to-day living. I'll give you for example. Suppose I had a car that was able to fly right now, but I'm so used to traveling in my car waiting on the gas light to come on. If the gas light come on in the flying car, will it drop out of the air? Will it crash into somebody's house because I was low on fuel? You know, how do we conceive that next step? How do we get Tesla with the electric system and cars and things to be able to do that, so it's not a detriment to somebody else because I didn't pay my electric bill or because I didn't plug up in time enough? See, right now we're on the verge of, we can kind of think about it, but to actually fully conceptualize it, the stuff is already here. We just can't do it yet.
So we're gonna have to die.
We're gonna have to die.
Now,
You're gonna, like it's in X-Clan, you live to die, and you die to live again. So whatever essence that's in you that's not perfect, that's diluted, that's imperfect, needs to be shed. It's like the refiner's fire. It heats up, only the good stuff is left. So each time that you come back through your children and your children's children, you keep getting to a different point where you're better than you were before, either male form or female form. And your thought pattern that you have now, well, and your children that you had then, is manifesting in them now, even though they might not know it. You might die, and then your grandchildren are manifest the very things that you're thinking about now.
Genetic memory.
Right. So somebody right now, you seem odd to the family, to the community. Why Malik always talk about this different stuff, all this stuff is going on. That didn't start with you. You were born in that. So in your DNA, through the X and Y chromosomes, somebody in your line, way before you, was thinking what they call those outlandish thoughts. And they were like cutting edge. You're just a new version of it.
Continuation of
yeah.
that.
And it keeps happening. So they couldn't conceive a tall, bald-headed black man sitting at the table contemplating these things that we've never even experienced and the existence of us on a different plane. But now here you are doing it. So then next, once the children have conquered time, space, millennials, and all these other different things, then that'll be a whole nother reign of thought. Be it they've superseded the physical body and they're now doing stuff on a whole different plane. Maybe they're astral traveling and projecting and doing that. I mean, and a lot of that is simply going back to what we were already doing before.
Okay.
So you shed all this stuff to get back to the 5 basic elements that's already existing in you, but at a perfected state.
Okay. I go with that. All of that, I go with that. But does it answer the question? Because what I'm talking about is what science calls string theory, and the string theory is about how we are all connected in this big ball of yarn, and it's all bundled up. And then if we can pull that string and untangle everything, entanglement, but if we can untangle all of that, then we will see clearly that there is no distinction between you and me, and nothing solid, nothing liquid, nothing gas, nothing light, sound, nothing. There is no, that everything is one. Right.
It's just your consciousness is the only thing that makes any of this stuff different.
Any of this stuff, anything that we can think of. And then, so I said, okay, so why are there, now I'm switching gears now, why is there 7 billion people on the planet? And then that was a question that I had before, but then you answered the question just now when you said that we are here to continue we're here to continue a thought. All right, that thought transfers from ancestors to descendants, and it keeps going and it keeps going and keeps going. So basically, nature is saying that something has to happen. Okay, something has to happen, and it has to come through this means. This means meaning you and me and people and animals or whatever. And so the animals are here for a specific person, a specific reason, so that people can manifest this thing, basically, so we can evolve.
Right.
Okay, so I'm living a thought, you're living a thought that hundreds of years, tens of years, thousands of years has been in the making.
Right.
Okay, and 7 billion people are needed, because if there was only 7 people, that would be a less of a chance for it to actually, that thought to survive.
Right.
So you need this many people to guarantee that the continuation of the thought will survive.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So at some point, what would be one of the ideal things would be that at some point,
Is that coffee still
those,
hot?
yes, those jewels that we have would then manifest through some of the gifts that people have, like through teleportation, without electronics, without devices, but you being able to call into existence those things around you through a gravitational pull to make those things happen. You become a celestial body. Because like right now, all of the things that's inside you are already in the air. They're already in the earth. They're already floating around you. The only reason why they're in existence in this form that you call you is because that you willed that thing to be in the way it is. So what's stopping you from manifesting it downtown?
Awareness.
Right. To awareness, so much so to you know how to pull those things together to put yourself in that place.
So, well, okay. So I can answer the question, but I have to ask another question. Why are we, okay, we have made manifest everything that we need to get done what we need to get done.
Right.
Okay, we've done it already. So why, and I don't know if this is your question, but exactly, but why have we not made that thing that, using the tools that we have, why haven't we made manifest what we need to do? And I say that we are also dealing with a disease that's stopping us from, or preventing us from achieving that objective that we are not even aware consciously that we are here to do.
Right. Your subconscious knows, but that's the whole reason why you're doing it, because you became conscious of that thousands of years ago, that these things need to be mined out. These things needed to be refined. So then you as a celestial body, and then this goes into some people call astronomy or astrology, whichever one, they're both the same anyway, but that goes into you having a pull towards certain celestial bodies. So then now you understand it. So those weaknesses need to be mined out through you. Your first generation, through you got a choice. Fall victim to certain things or elevate above it. Now, if you elevate above it, then your criteria which you place on your seed is to elevate them above you. And then their seed to elevate above you. Now, there may be one line of divine coming through you that's one set. Will it take more than one set in order to make it happen? Yes. Because you, one individual, whatever little imperfection that you were dealing with within you, is never completely mined out. It just becomes a recessive trait. And then if you end up dealing with somebody that is a trait that's more powerful, then there's a chance that trait then becomes present in the children or your children's children, and then so on. So you have to keep refining it, making it smaller and smaller and smaller until the chances of it producing is 1 in 2 million or 1 in every 10 million. Somebody comes up with that recessive gene. Then once that recessive gene does come up, then you stamp that thing out, and then you keep progressing. We knew that thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. So then now everybody has in them these what's called a God factor is already in you, that's already doing it, and your subconscious is already working all those things out. So the stuff that you know now, the stuff that you forgot, the stuff that you were doing in your 20s when you first found knowledge, it was like, good, man, look at this. And you were living it. Then you've forgotten it because you've elevated on to a whole different science. I remember back in my 20s, I used to, me and a bunch of guys, and this was, of course, way before the internet, but we had put together clocks that you could tell time going backwards. So instead of the 1 be where the 1 is, the 1 was where the 11 was, and it went counterclockwise on the clocks. Now the clocks was easy to do, but we wanted watches that would do the same thing, simply to put us thinking double time, double on everything. I can't just look at something and perceive it as what it is. Every time I look at a clock, it's reminding me of the extent or the deepness of how I got to think about different things. Right. So then it was like, okay, in the rotation of the earth, clock spinning backwards, and then so we was doing it in the 20s.
That's some Yaku playing with the magnet shit, man. Go ahead, though.
I forgot about it until, I guess, about a month ago, and I was listening to some old school hip hop, and I was like, man, I remember when we used to wear the medallions and all that. Then I was like, man, remember what happened to all the brothers that used to do we used to sit and powwow and build and elevate, but then that was for a season. And so whatever we were supposed to take away from that, then here we are today. Some of us elevated, some of us didn't. However, what it produced was a thought that was in me that I needed in me to push me to a step further. So when I talk to my daughter, I'm not talking to her on what she sees going on around her now. I'm talking to her on what she's going to see. Right. And then to a point that I don't even have to bring up some things to her. She already knows it because it's encoded in her DNA already. I don't even have to bring, she said, Daddy, why is this? Or she'll say, Daddy, I know why this, and this is this. And I listen, and then people go, man, she got an old soul. How she know that? It's because it's already coded in her. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Good stuff, man.